All right, and welcome back here to the AM Drive on this Top 5 Tuesday. We are joined by awesome guests as always, like Mitch Bernstein here, but it's not made possible unless we have the help of places like Fanatics. And what you do with Fanatics to support our show is go to mikeandaarondrive.com and you click the F. And when you click the F, you get awesome deals, sometimes free shipping, sometimes big discounts like today. Mike, I think today is 65% off the site, which
Yes.
that's a lot of savings, especially in today's world where gas is expensive. So they bring it to your door, not the other way around. You get the greatest in memorabilia, merchandise, etc. But it's all made possible by going to mikeandaarondrive.com and doing what, Mike?
Clicking the F for
And like,
respects.
absolutely. And like I said, it helps us bring on awesome guests like the one you see below us, the Burn with Mitch on
Yes.
12 Ounce Sports, of course. Mitch Bernstein, thank you so much, as always, for joining us. I think the last time we talked was
Lockout.
just after the start of the season or right
Yeah,
before the lockout ended, somewhere around that time frame. So how's it been for you? I know your Phillies are in a rough spot, but they're above 500, so you got to be thankful for that.
yeah. A big disappointment getting swept by the Cubs. I was going crazy here at home, going, "Are you giving me? Are you kidding me?" Um, I just continue to say it's a long season, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens at the deadline, see what they can do, see who they're going to ship away, who I don't want them to ship out. And we'll see. Listen, they're not winning the division. It's going to be a wild card slot, and it's going to be between the Padres, the Cardinals, and the Phillies, I think. So, they just got to keep winning. They got to get consistent again with that. They got to go on another winning streak.
Mhm.
Big win last night. Bryson Stott 3-run homer in the bottom of the eighth. I had his mom on a couple last week. She was
Wow.
great. Yeah, she was terrific. I asked her. I wanted to get a little bit of tidbits people might not know. So I said, Bryson is good friends with Bryce. They know their families, the Harpers from a long time ago.
Mm.
And I said, Shayna, I said, what does Bryce call you? Does he call you Mrs. Stott? Does he call you Shayna?
Bryson's mom.
So she was a cheerleading coach, and for many years, and the kids at the school they call her Stotty.
Huh.
Dottie.
So
That's an
Bryce
interesting
Harper
one.
calls Bryson Stott's mom Stotty.
That's
Just
Inside
cool.
inf-
inside information. You can't
That's
get
Inside
cool.
anywhere.
information you can
Man.
only find on the Burn with Mitch and then his guest segments here on the AM Drive. Mitch, I want to go ahead and get into it here. It's a topic we talked about yesterday, and you know as well as we know that Twitter and real life are two different things. And at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, this woman may have rushed the word Negro a bit too fast, and of course, it came out.
Yeah.
Well, Twitter thought it came out
Came
on
out
the
triggered.
actual diction, but yeah, let's call it triggered. Twitter took it, of course, a bit too far as they normally do, but to us, it didn't seem like a reaction came from anywhere in the audience. So, what do you make of this? Of course, we had our beliefs. We talked about it yesterday, but I'd like to get your input on this.
So I asked Mike, I said, Mike, where did it come from? I hadn't seen that. And he sent me the clip. Thank you, Mike. And I'm listening to it, and I listened to it 3 times, and there was no way she said the N-word. It was a
Right.
diction thing. It was a pronunciation thing. I
Mm-hmm.
also said the same thing to Mike. Mike, I didn't
Right.
see any reaction from the audience. I didn't hear anything you would have heard from somebody who said something so derogatory in a huge arena event like that. So and then Mike, what you sent me, I saw had 24,000 plus views.
Whew.
So people were like obviously looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't say it. She
Agreed.
combined her pronunciation, like you said, it was her diction that's made it sound like it could have been the N word, but
Mm-hmm.
to me, it was not.
Of
And
course. And Mike, go
The
ahead.
more and more I thought about that, I have to agree with Aaron and you here that it really,
The
immediate
first time you
reaction,
hear it, you're like, "Whoa!" But
right.
yeah,
then,
The immediate reaction for the people, it's like they've heard her say the word before. Like they've heard her say that pronunciation. It
yeah,
was almost like they knew this lady was cool. But maybe they knew her personally, and maybe that's what
yes,
helped them understand it more. So it may have been And in fact, I haven't seen any backlash publicly. I've just seen on the little Twitter forum. So I agree with that. The backlash wasn't there, and that was a good point.
Yeah, Mike, I looked and I was looking when you sent that to me. I was looking on Twitter and looking on Facebook, and listen, if it was that bad,
you can't find it, right?
You couldn't find it. And I even went to the trending on Twitter, and it wasn't there.
Me too. I agree.
So thank you for sending that to me, so I could really listen to it.
Yes, sir. It was fun to find. I have a question though. If I may, Aaron, before you go to your next point.
Mm-hmm.
You talk. I know you talk about Bryson Stott's mom, which is incredible. But you've talked to a few of these Negro League guys before, and I just want to know some of the cool people that you've talked to. How does this feel for you seeing those guys going? Because I've noticed that your podcast is kind of focused on those guys quite a bit.
Yeah, and it goes back to my understanding of the Negro Leagues. And my 3 years ago, pretty much right after I maybe started the show in January 3 years ago, I became more familiar with it. And every time I have somebody on to talk about it, and there are so many people, you will have no idea unless you go on Facebook and check the groups, how many groups there actually are on Twitter specifically about the Negro Leagues. And I began, and I said to Bob Kendrick, who was really my first guest, the president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, and I said, Bob, why don't I know more about this? I said, as a history, part of American history, and that's what he says. And these guys didn't know they were making history. They didn't care at the time. They just wanted to play baseball. That was the whole thing. They just wanted to play. And we all know, and it's so ironic that the other fact that he taught me was that once Jackie Robinson integrated, the Negro Leagues started going downhill with interest because most of these good players were going into the Negro Leagues.
Right.
So it was basically the beginning of the fall of the Negro Leagues when Jackie was integrated. But so much history. Sam Allen is a buddy of mine that I've met several times. He's been on the show, met him in person. It's funny because he remembers me. He did a nice assembly virtually for Westtown School, Black History Month. And I remember I called him and he says, Sam, this is Mitch Bernstein. Do you remember who I am? He goes, oh, yeah, the Bern. I met him at a card show in Pennsylvania. So he remembered me. And it's just so cool to be able to, and there are, it's like World War II vets. There aren't many around anymore. And to be able to learn from them and what was so special about them playing in these leagues. And the fact that now, this past Sunday, with Buck finally getting into the Hall, they're getting more recognition and people are understanding how really good they were in their time. And it's a credit to all those folks doing the research. And it's also very cool, again, going back, you find posts where you see the box scores in papers and they still had them. And you see these names. And you go, oh my gosh.
That's cool.
World War II vets was an incredible reference, by the way. That's a great comparison.
And not to take it away from you, I mean, what you're doing to also still, gain exposure for these players, these directors, the people who are involved in the Negro Leagues is an awesome testament to you. And I don't think you get the credit for it. So a tip of the cap to you from us here. As we move into today's game here, because that is we got the trade deadline coming up. So obviously the big name is Juan Soto. Mike and I believe he's not going anywhere before the deadline. Do you believe otherwise, and maybe where?
Guys, I'm glad you said that because all this gossip, it's coming, all the rumors. And I was thinking the same thing. I don't know that he's going to go. You know why? It's hard to put together a deal with that many players, both veterans and guys in the minors, prospects, in what I think is a very short amount of time. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that he's going to go anywhere. I was reading that San Diego was a potential because they need outfield help. However, just reading this morning, Mackenzie Gore left the game yesterday because he was one of the trade pieces. from the Padres. He left the game yesterday with elbow soreness. So that's down the drain. It's the teams with money. Could the Yankees, the Dodgers, maybe the Astros could do it. I don't know that it will. I'm with you. I don't think it's going to happen because it's just too much to put together in a short amount of time. I mean, this stuff takes time. Now, have they been? Who knows if they've been looking at this for weeks? But I'm sure they started looking when he declined the $440 million.
100%.
So I don't think he's going to go anywhere. But that's the fun part of the deadline. You just don't know.
All the speculation. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, the Contreras from the Cubs, he's got a feeling he's going. And Trey Mancini, same thing from the Orioles. Who wouldn't want to pick up Trey Mancini?
Yeah, I say good for him for getting out of there.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of angry. I was watching the ESPYs because Maybelle Blair from the All American Girls Professional League was on there, and she helped present an award. But the comeback player of the year went to Clay Thompson.
Clay Thompson, yeah, that was horrible.
And I'm Trey.
Some dude had cancer. What are we doing?
Come back from a freaking knee injury.
Yeah,
everyone does that now. Freaking cancer. Are you kidding me? And playing well. I'm like, are you kidding? Who votes for this crap?
Yeah, exactly. It shows ratings, and of course, Golden State won the title. Yeah, you have to understand it's all the politics. But you know what? We can all give a vice golf clap to Trey Mancini for overcoming what he has. And returning and being, like you said, one of the pieces that people believe can help them get closer to a championship. Mm-hmm. Now, the one I'm starting to see now, which I'd love to see all of the drama and all of the speculation. Ultimately, it's never going to. I think it's a less than 0% chance. But Shohei Ohtani has now visited. Has been noted in these trade rumors. There's no chance. No chance. That's a cash cow and a half right there.
There's no way that's happening. And it's unfortunate for the Angels. They started out really well, and then right down to the dumper again. It's so sad because you really wish these guys would have a chance to get even get into the playoffs.
Well, getting in the playoffs is huge for that exposure. The MLB is probably begging them to get into the playoffs. It's to have Trout and Ohtani, on that roster. It's just absolutely insane. But yeah, we'll find out. It looks like the trade deadline's August 2nd. I'm sure they pushed that back a couple days because of the week, starting the week later here. But let's get back into the.
It's coming up, man.
Yeah, what do you say? August 7 days. Yeah, 7 days. The dog days of summer are here upon us. But let's get back into this Hall of Fame here. And, we talked about it yesterday, but the notable names that weren't the Negro League players, the Minnie Minosos and the Buck O'Neills. But we talk about Big Papi. Obviously, he headlined the event, the induction ceremony. But one that not a ton of people are talking about, that we talked about because he kind of had an influence on our lives, is Tim Kurkjian receiving the award, during the Hall of Fame. And just Mike kind of nailed it on the head. Just, a nerdy, cheesy part of the game, but it wasn't fake. It was genuine. You could tell John Clayton, Buster Olney, these nerdy guys that just give you the facts, don't give you any of their opinions. And it's just an objective viewpoint of the game, or even if it's a viewpoint or an opinion, it just still doesn't feel like they're ragging on anybody. They were just some of the nicest guys in their respective sports. Buster Olney's turned a little bit, but talking specifically about Kurkjian and Papi here, and I want to kind of get your thoughts on their legacies.
Yeah, Kurkjian, I was just reading also. It's interesting. He's 5'5". He's like my size, right?
Oh, yeah, I figured, yeah.
And he's a great basketball player.
Really? Did not know that.
Yes.
Did not know that.
He's played with I think there's a Ripken team that he played with, and they wanted him to be on the team. And he's also got, like many of these sports writers, including Peter Gammons, what a lot of his colleagues are impressed about is you can name a player, and he'll come up with a story about the player. Doesn't make a difference who it is. And they all, including Tim, and I love reading him. I mean, I can't imagine not reading him every Sports Illustrated that I got when it came out. They're so easy to read. They're so humble, like you said. It's not ever about them. It's about what they can provide in terms of information to the general public, because they absolutely love the game of baseball, and they understand the history, they understand everything about it, and they provide it in such a way that's interesting. And it's funny also, Peter Gammons, Kurkjian, they got interesting voices too.
Yeah.
Right. So that kind of thing, subtle, but it's the way it's presented with their voices, with the way they talk about it. It's just, you can't not listen.
And you know who's coming on right when they start speaking too. That's a fair point.
I didn't think Tim Kurkjian.
Yeah. Well, not only that, Mitch, but when he signs off, and you guys might notice this, but he always hard pronounces the Kirk. He's always like, for ESPN or at Shea Stadium, I'm Tim Kurkjian. Yeah, he always hardly stops.
So weird,
right
little smiley, cheesy.
He always had that hard stop. Yeah, absolutely. No, you said it. You said it, Mitch. That's a good point. I didn't think about.
And he's well loved. He's just well loved. Yeah, and you're right. Not enough credit. We don't. I mean, listen. It's for I think 80-90% of the people who are baseball fans. It's all about the players. And when you look at how the information is given to us, that's a huge base. And Tim and like you said, Buster, only Ken Rosenthal with his nerdy bow tie, right? But that makes sense. But it's not. It's never about, like you said, it's never about them. It's just them providing information in a way that we understand it. Whether we're old fans or even new fans, it's very, very easy to understand what he says, and just terrific guys to be, and not only to listen to, but to read their columns and their information. It's great stuff.
And it was more than a job to them, it seemed like.
Yeah, they actually love when the money came, but they like you said with golf and with Tiger Woods, the money came, but they just love what they do.
Yes, they absolutely love it, absolutely love it. And Big Papi, Big Papi, and what do you think about this? I think that part of his legacy is going to be his response to the Boston Marathon.
Yep.
Yeah,
that was on ESPN the other day. It was one of the first things they talked about. Like, he became more liked after that.
Oh, 100%.
Truly loved playing in Boston. Truly loved playing baseball. He had fun at it, and I absolutely he appreciates the people around him, and the fact now after this Boston issue with the bombing, he came back. Boston strong. He wasn't messing around. And again, more endearing to that, not just to the Boston people, but to me too. I was like, wow, this guy really gets it. He gets where he's at. He gets where he's playing at. He gets the community. Not like, and I could get into this for a minute if you want to, Nick Castellanos of the Phillies, who just,
Wait, Castellanos?
Nick Castellanos, yeah.
Is that the guy who always hits a home run whenever something bad happens?
Yeah, Mr. Deep Fly Ball to right or to left center himself.
The guy who
and getting mad at Jim Salisbury, very good, well-known, kind of on the Kurkjian side in Philly, beat writer who's been with them forever, and he got pissed at a question he asked. And you have and there's two realms of thought here. You should go look it up and see what happened with that whole incident. But the Castellanos just needs to say, like Harper said, "What do you think about the people booing?" He said they should boo. Nick Castellanos so I don't think he quite gets it yet. And I hope Bryce Harper sits him down and said, "Listen, dude, you got to tell people, you got to admit you suck. When you suck, and they pay you to the people, they'll be more sad. They'll have more empathy for you, as opposed to basically not even mentioning the fact that he's been sucking this year, and I'm working hard to try and get through it, and I'm being patient."
He was Big Papi in Philly.
Big Papi.
Mitch is burning right now.
Right.
Big Papi, and there was also mention of him doing the steroid stuff and the PEDs. People have gotten through that.
Yeah.
And I really think it's because he's become more endeared from that community.
I agree.
That's what I kind of wanted to ask you with regards to that, because, obviously there's still speculation and all that stuff. But Does this slowly open the door for the steroid guys?
Mm.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see a few years down the road if he becomes a first ballot Hall of Famer, and Bonds and the rest can't even get in, and Clemens still aren't in. So
Exactly, that's an
we'll
interesting
see.
one for me. So
Yeah.
Good point, Biden. One last question here for you,
Yes.
Mitch, because All-Star break is coming and gone. The American League won for the 9th time in a row. Not that it matters. You've got Juan Soto who won the electric home run derby. But are we in for a collision course for Yankees and Dodgers? Because we've talked about on this show, that'd be a hot market kind of World Series there. Are we in for these two monsters who I'm a big run differential guy, cream of the crop?
Yeah,
Or do you think the Astros or maybe the Mets or somebody can come in there and you think it's Dodgers and Yankees about ready to crash here?
Yes, if I would have to say right now, who do you think? I'd say yes. The Astros are probably the closest to anyone to the Yankees to be able to take them down. I don't think anybody else in the American League can do it. The Dodgers, National League.
The Braves.
Could the Mets do it with rotation? Yes. So it's going to be yes, but I think overall Dodgers and Yankees, and that will be a well-watched series. MLB will be happy. Two of the biggest markets in the country, and big ratings, and a lot of Yankee haters out there. So people will be rooting for the Dodgers to win. It's going to be interesting. And listen, if the Phillies get into that wild card, you get Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola pitching really good games. It's anybody's ball game.
Just got to get in. Absolutely.
Oh, there you go. Aaron, drive Mitch home for us.
All right, Mitch, as always, we greatly appreciate you joining us, taking some time out of your busy day. And, thanks for the stories. Thanks for the insight, especially those topics in the Negro Leagues. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll have you on again soon here, maybe playoff time or maybe a little bit after the season. So, again, thank you, Mitch, and we appreciate you coming aboard.
Guys, thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Appreciate what you guys are doing. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, Mitch.
Cheers.